Hey guys, I want to talk about a headline that I read today that I posted on my website. It stated that economic terrorists had caused the 2008 financial collapse. Not a more true headline has ever existed. Unfortunately, if you read the story, the truth ended at the headline, in my opinion, because the rest of it goes on to blame every potential person on the planet other than the people who deserve to be blamed for the economic crash of 2008. And why should that surprise us? Because we have the same exact people in power. We have the same rotating door policy between Wall Street, the Federal Reserve, and the government. And they've made each other's sin legal, and they've made it not only legal, but extremely profitable. And if you don't believe that, their guru went before Congress today and explained how everything is basically better. We're going to have 4% growth in GDP in 2011, and these extraordinary measures have fixed the economy. Yeah, there's a little slow activity in job creation, but don't worry about that. Everything will just neatly take care of itself. And it's staggering to me that not only can this be written, but it can be believed, and believed it will be. We will have now going forward, I'm sure, people in the mainstream talking about Al-Qaeda, who brought us the collapse of 2008, and we'll have the sheeple of this nation gobble it up and generate more hate and anger towards somebody who had nothing to do with the situation that we live in right now. It's a lot like the real, genuine anger that exists in this country right now. I believe that anger is well placed as far as it should exist, and we should have this indignation burning in our bellies, but we shouldn't have it for the people that we call fellow citizens of this country. And unfortunately, that's where this anger and hostility is being directed. And it's not being directed there, by happenstance. It's not an accident that we're going to, go after the union workers in the government sector first. A lot of people here on YouTube, a lot of people in the alternative media community put out this warning, a year and a half ago, that we saw what was going on in Europe. We saw that, of course, they're going to have the same kind of austerity in this country as we see in Europe right now. It isn't going to fix the problem. It's absolutely not going to fix a problem. We talked about that the powers that be are going to work diligently in order to divide this country right down the middle and have the finger pointing and the blame game be ratcheted up so we could be so enthralled with hating our neighbor, and we could be so angry at the guy across the street because he is a government worker or he's in a union. We're going to blame him for the ills of this country. And it's working like a charm, and it's blowing my mind that it's working so well, even in the alternative media community. The fact of the matter is, the end of Empire America is at hand, plain and simple. And we can cut the government workforce across the country in every state all we want to, and it's not going to fix the problem. The idea that we can somehow magically revive this dying economy by going after government workers, you have to be out of your mind to believe that. See, when the government came out and announced it was going to be $1.2 trillion in deficit in 2011, and then they came out a little bit later and said it was going to be $1.25 trillion. And then they came out even later saying that it's going to be $1.65 trillion. The deficit wasn't added to because of more government workers going to work. It was added to because of a lack of revenue in this country. You see, there's lack of revenue because there's 8 million less people working than there was at the beginning of the so-called recession that ended, which was truly the beginning of the greatest of great depressions. The money isn't there because the Americans are not earning the money for the tax base to be there to pay for the government workers who are throughout the country. I'll be the first one to stand up and say government spending is out of control, government hiring is out of control. We have too many governments covering too many overlapping issues, and they're all out of control. But I'm not going to sit here and I'm not going to demonize my neighbor who belongs to a union or works for the government when they have nothing to do with the problem of this country. Empire America is imploding. The tax revenue is not there. So of course, we're going to see massive layoffs in government, but we're also going to see massive layoffs in the private sector as well. And these pensions are not going to be paid in the long run, just like your 401k or your pension. in the private sector, non-union sector, is not going to be there eventually. This crime is continuing, and it's going to go on until every single ounce of wealth is stripped out of this country. They're not holding back. They're not creating some bubble that will take us through the next decade, and then so that can pop and we can go through the next decade on a bubble. This is it. They're absolutely going for broke, plain and simple. If we want a chance to save our country, we have to take that same anger, that same hostility that we want to waste on our fellow citizen and turn it to where it deserves to be. We need to go after these criminal banksters who brought us down. We need debt forgiveness in this country. We need to wake up and realize that we're never paying back the $1.5 estimated quadrillion in derivatives that are hovering around the globe. We need a reset, a jubilee, if you will, on the debt in this country and around the world, because it's never going to get paid back. And don't you see that's by design? You have the same central bank that tried for hundreds of years to take control of the money printing in this country, controlling the issuing of the money at debt. They've got their way since 1913. This is the culmination, the end result of that desire to control the money supply of this country. We have to realize that the money is no good. We have to realize that our system of government needs to return to a system where the government issues the money, not a private bank. We have to hold our elected officials accountable. We have to demand integrity, and we have to perp walk the perpetrators of the true terrorist act that brought down the economy in 2008. Bickering amongst ourselves, blame game, pointing the finger is nothing more than being a shill for the powers that be. That's all I got.